Hi Heidi, how are you?
Hey, Nicola, I'm doing great. How about you?
Yeah, brilliant, thank you. I was just thinking we're already halfway into May, so it's just flying by, isn't it?
For sure, absolutely. And we only have one more episode left. That's
Yeah,
crazy.
I know, 10 episodes, it's incredible. And we've talked about so many different things, haven't we? Lots of different types of health related topics, which has been great. And I was thinking for today, we could do a little bit of kind of real life dive in, since that's what we're all about, real lives, real health, to talk about our own fitness journeys and how, we got into it because I think it's good to share with others that it's not always easy for us, even though it might look like that on the outside of the can.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I love that idea. I just put up something this morning. It was just like a little reel of me doing a little bit of yoga in my living room here. And, you know, it's so funny how hard it was or has been for me to kind of put up that stuff because the reality is that I don't have this like perfect like yoga form and yoga body and stuff that you see on Instagram and all over the place. And, that's a small part, but it is part of kind of my fitness journey and why I wound up going and getting my personal training certification is
Mm.
because I had so much anxiety around like feeling like I was doing something it incorrectly at the gym. Even like on those machines, you really can't, it's hard to do things incorrectly because they're guiding you through the movement. But I was always so scared of somebody coming up to me and like criticizing me or judging me or whatever. And so I kind of had a really bad relationship with fitness for a long time. I was really stressed out about it. I felt like my behaviors didn't align with what I wanted, which was to have fitness be a huge part of my life. And it was really that anxiety piece that was getting in the way of
Mm.
feeling like I wasn't perfect at it? So I went ahead and got my personal training certification because I thought, knowledge is power. And if I can feel confident in the gym that I know what I'm doing, maybe I won't have so much anxiety and I'll actually start to be able to engage and have my behaviors align with what I wanted my life to look like. So that was really like a game changer for me. And I know that, now I kind of want to call it just like imperfect fitness. It's it's the vast majority of us, that are just moving our bodies and trying to be
Mm.
healthier. And I I wonder how many people out there are keeping themselves from accessing movement and gyms and fitness because they're scared of not looking perfect and because they're scared of criticism and judgment. But that's basically that the short of my journey was, my anxiety just pushed me into like seeking knowledge and
Mm.
that's been a game changer for me. What about you?
Yeah, well, I want to ask you a question on that actually
Yeah.
first. So, were you someone who did enjoy working out and exercising, but you just had this anxiety around it? Or was the anxiety kind of standing in the way of you being able to enjoy it or be motivated to actually do anything?
It's funny. It feels a little confusing, even though it makes sense in my head. It feels confusing to talk about because I actually grew up playing sports. I played soccer, I
Right.
played basketball, I played baseball, I played everything. Softball, I guess you would say. Um, and even my mom was a personal trainer and aerobics instructor, and so you'd think that I would have been really confident and comfortable. Um, but I really wasn't. I never really felt like I belonged, even though I was
Mm.
there doing it. I kind of always felt like I was on the fringe and sort of just like somehow allowed to be there. I didn't really know why. And so I would say it's kind of a little bit of both. I loved the movement and I loved it enough that I knew I wanted it to continue to be a part of my life, but I didn't know how to make that feel like true to me and make it feel like I actually belonged in the space. Does that answer your
Mm.
question?
Yeah, that's really interesting actually. And I think that's probably something that some people kind of resonate with and have for themselves in that, they enjoy sport, they've been part of it. And I think for women especially, there's changes that happen through your life, usually, you know, in your teenage, adolescent years, that make you start to then question who you are and have some of those anxieties because of our physical appearance and changes, and then obviously the mental side as well with, you know, hormones, and then just ongoing life changes, I guess, as we age. So yeah, that's really interesting. And I've definitely heard people talk about their nervousness of not doing things right, holding them back. I think I did struggle with a little bit of that, but it's not something that necessarily was why I didn't used to exercise. But yeah, I think for a lot of women, especially if you want to or feel you have to exercise in a public place like a gym or other kind of, you know, environment, I think there's a lot of pressure we put on ourselves, because what you see usually in the media are people who are this kind of perfect, you know, idea of what somebody working out looks like and does. And yeah, so I think that's a really interesting story for others to hear. With me, it was totally different.
Oh, really?
I didn't really like sport at school. I used to go to football, or soccer as you guys call it, when I was young with my dad to our local team, and I loved watching football, and I grew up, you know, collecting the stickers when it was the World Cup and so on, but I wasn't sporty at all. I had no natural skills. I would say I probably have, even now, very little natural kind of coordination, not just, you know, like the full sports skills. So I just didn't like it. I hated PE at school because I wasn't very good. And then when you compare yourself to others who can catch the ball or bat the ball or kick, I just didn't have any of those natural abilities. And so for me, it just didn't feature as a part of my life. And I know through then years of working at Nike that missing out on being part of team sports was something that I really think impacted my just lots of different skills, communication, you know, team play. I think there's so many great skills you get from playing team sports. Yeah. But anyway, yeah, I just didn't really like moving. I wouldn't say it was even something that was part of my family and upbringing. You know, yeah, we like to get out for picnics and things, but not walks. So for me, exercising only came into my life when I needed it to lose weight or to look the way that I thought I had to look. So it was very much done from a place of kind of punishment and to fix another problem. So I dipped with the gym on and off, and I mean very on and off through many years. And it was only really when I started to work for Nike in my mid-20s that changed, and it didn't change for a long time, because when I started there I thought, oh my God, where have I come to work? Who are all these people who run on their lunch break and go to a step class back in the day, or box and, you know, on their lunch in the gym that we had in the office, because that just wasn't me. But I embraced it, and it was quite a good thing to do socially. It was very, you know, interactive with other people in the office. And so I did work out, but again, it was only because I wanted to fix the problem I had about not feeling like I fit in aesthetically with everybody else. So it was done from a very negative place, and it was only when I really changed my workout, which I think we might have touched on one of our other episodes, when I got into the body coach, Joe Wicks, probably about 7 or 8 years ago, and just not just the way I was working out, but it was the mentality of working out. That was the big shift for me, was, you know, why am I doing this, and how does it make me feel, and why do I want to feel that way regularly? And I actually loved working out. You know, I looked forward to it. There was no pressure. I was just so passionate about it, and that was the beginning of my overall health change, really. It took a long time, and then when I was made redundant a couple of years ago, I thought, I'm going to qualify as a PT, because I just loved exercise that much, and it had really helped me to change my life. So very different story to you. Yes, I had a lot of thoughts even when I went to sign up to become a PT, you know, thoughts about, God, I'm mid-40s, I'm not someone who looks like personal trainers. But at the same time, because I knew the benefit it had brought to me, and I knew what I wanted to do with other women, helping them with their lives, that it's important people see the variety in who works out. And that's the most important thing, isn't it? Because, yeah, there's just so many different types of people and ways of working out and reasons for doing it. And yeah, so I just love it. And now, you know, I never have to force myself, really, although yesterday's run was quite hard to motivate on a Sunday morning. But, you know, I do it because I know it's just part of who I am. And so,
Right.
yeah, that was my journey, really, from someone at school who hated PE and would cower at the back of the line, you know, because she knew she wouldn't be picked, to now just being all out and giving anything a go.
Yeah, Nicola, I love what you just said, that it's part of who you are, because I think that's the key. That's the shift. It's aligning your priorities and what you care about with what you actually do
Yeah.
during the day, you know? And so then it doesn't become about like, do I feel like going for a run right now, Sunday morning? No, but who am I and what do I prioritize and what do I care about and how do I get my behaviors to align with that?
Hmm.
That's to me the key. And so I love that you said that. And I also just want to touch really quickly on a big game changer for me in the past couple of years. I've been going to hot yoga. You and I have talked about that a little bit. And not only does it have what you were just talking about, like so many different body types attending the class, but the instructors all look
Mm.
very different. And one of the things for me is like, I was always so stuck on like trying to do every move perfectly. So I was like, I'm not going to use a block to try to touch the floor. I have to do it to the full like extent of the move, you know? But then I started going to this location that I've been going to, and the instructors use blocks. The instructors use straps. The instructors sometimes can't even express the movement fully because everybody's
Mm.
bodies are different, right? Like our hips are built differently. Our anatomy is different. Like it's amazing to me that we have this one right idea in our minds so often about not only what bodies are supposed to look like, but what the actual like fitness routine is supposed to look like. And there's only one way to do it correctly. And I think that that really keeps so many people from participating. And
Yeah.
it's so interesting that you and I are coming at it from very different angles, but it's kind of the same thing at the end of the day.
Yeah. And there is a shift happening, isn't there, with, you know, this becoming more normal where, you know, whether you're a personal trainer or you're just someone who moves a couple of times a week, anyone can do anything and it's not about the perfection. And I also think with that, it's not about the kind of stereotypical type of exercising anymore either, which is fantastic, you know, and that there's just so many different things. Like open water swimming has got really popular here, you know, even in lakes and things, as well as the sea. There's just so many new ways people are realizing, you know, can be what works for them. And so I think hopefully we're helping to advocate some of that shift, you know, just to do what makes you feel good. And as we said, whatever is, you know, linked to the way you want to feel and live, that's the biggest factor in it all, isn't it?
Oh man, absolutely.
Mm.
But I gotta ask you, so what if you can think of something, what is kind of the like maybe not funniest, but like funnest, most different sort of new type of exercise you've seen? Like I read
Oh,
recently,
oh,
I
yeah.
might mess up the name, but I think they call it clogging, where you like is it plugging? I don't know, but it's basically like you go for a jog with like friends and stuff. You don't have to go with friends, but you go for a jog and you pick up trash as you're
All
going.
right.
So you're like cleaning up the park and like also going for a run. I think it's called plugging. I don't know. Have you seen anything like that? Anything
I
funny?
haven't seen that one, but what I was going to mention, and I did actually look at giving it a go, but I didn't get round to it, is it's kind of like a bungee parachute type aerobic workout where you get
Yes.
tied to these great big things and then you just, yeah, and I just think it looks so liberating and freeing because you're just able to move and, you know, do things that you couldn't do physically on your own. So that's something. I haven't seen anything else that wacky, I would say. Yeah, but that's the thing. There's just so many new things coming now, isn't there?
Yeah, and it's really limitless. I mean, you can make it whatever you want it to be, which is, I think, the coolest part about all of it. I mean, even my boyfriend is like a very serious snowboarder, and even he just found like a new toy to kind of use to play with in the winter. It's called a snow skate, I think. And so it's like somehow this like elevated snowboard, but it's just like when you get creative with it, there's just so many different ways that you can incorporate movement into your life. And my hope is that both you and I can inspire people to like try different things and not be intimidated by being perfect, or looking perfect, and to just get out there and move.
100%, totally agree with that. Yeah. Well, I've loved chatting about this. Yeah, it's great, isn't it? Because we've got, like we said, two very different stories, but ultimately we both know the value of moving and finding what works for you. So yeah, hopefully this has helped to inspire you watching to get up and move and try something a little bit different, even if it might feel a little bit embarrassing. But get your glow sticks out, put the music on, whatever floats your boat. Yeah.
That's so fun. I love that idea. Have a dance party.
Yeah. All right, Heidi. Well, I look forward to next week and our final episode in the series.
Awesome.
Enjoy your week. You too. Bye.